Alright, I wanted to make a long-term review of the Osprey Skarab, the 22. This is my favorite backpack, probably one of my favorite backpacks I've ever used. I also have the Osprey Talon 22, the old version. I made a video comparing the old version of the Talon 22 and the new version, and as well as the old version of the Talon 22 plus this bag. Look for those videos. But this is just about the Skarab 22. This is my favorite pack. It weighs in at 1 pound 14 ounces with this hydration bladder. And without the hydration bladder, the Skarab weighs in at 1 pound 8 ounces. So it's actually super lightweight for how durable it is and how technical it is. It's not as technical as the Talon, but it's technical enough to use for hikes and not super technical where you won't want to use it every day. And so I use this as my everyday pack. As you can see, I've never used the hydration bladder. It still is the shrink wrap on the mouthpiece. So regarding this pack, it's got 5 main compartments. It's got one on the side, second on the side. It's got the main compartment, which is totally humongous. It's got a 4th compartment here for just sunglasses, small items, cell phone, wallet, and then it has a non-zip but a hydration bladder pouch right here, which the way the hydration bladder would go in, or anything you put in here, it eats into some of the internal volumes a touch, which is not problematic at all, as I'll go into that. So starting with the outside of the bag, these 2 daisy chain loops, and also this bag is made out of nylon, and so I prefer nylon for all my bags as opposed to polyester because it has a superior strength to weight ratio. This material isn't the thinnest, but it's ultra durable. As you can see, the Osprey logo, which was here, now that you can see it, has worn off. There are no rips or tears. So this is a little bit thicker than maybe you would need if you're only solely using it on hiking. But if you're using it as a daily bag for going back and forth to work, traveling, it ends up being thrown under the seat on an airplane or in the stow compartment. This is awesome because there's not enough stuff to get caught on different locations like the Talon, but it's super streamlined. So I find these super helpful to put stuff on, like keys, or if I'm traveling, if I have a ton of volume inside, I'll transfer the water bottle to the outside. This daisy chain thing with the coupled with the carabiner is totally like a volume hack. It can give you the flexibility of needing more volume. Let's talk about the internal compartment. The internal compartment on this is just humongous, and I find that it accommodates volume like no other backpack I've ever had. Even though it's a 22-liter backpack, I would estimate this as a 24-liter bag, but without making the footprint much larger. And the main reason it does is, as much as I stuff into here, it's just kind of like bottom wide, and so it kind of eats the volume in the bottom, and then as it stacks up, it narrows out a little bit, and then when you think you ran out of space on top, and even if it's all bulging out, this closes like a clamshell, and it puffs out a little bit, and so you get a ton more volume. And the thought Osprey had in designing this pack was probably just bomb-proof, because if you see here, even the hardware they use for the zippers, this is, I think, YKK's most durable zipper. Is the 10RCT. The only other place I've seen this zipper used is on the REI big haul duffel bags, which those are also bomb proof. And so I will have this fully loaded and grab the bag by the zipper, and I don't think twice about it. I mean, I'm not going to carry it like that, but I'm never worried that I'm going to damage these zippers. They're just massive and overbuilt, which I appreciate. Also, these straps on the side, I never use them and I don't find them very useful. It's to help cinch the pack down. But now that I'm looking at it, it probably helps it so it doesn't, without it, it would just be kind of floppy. And so I think Osprey knows what they're doing. So even though I don't use them to adjust, they're probably needed to just hold the load in a little bit more structured manner. All right, moving on to the hydration bladder. Or hydration compartment. I never use it, but it's got a little clip here to make sure it doesn't fall in there. During COVID, I was basically stuffing my masks back here Now this shoulder strap is not adjustable as it is on the Talon 22. Now let's talk about the side pouches. The side pouches are very, very large. This backpack is like a mule of a backpack in how much it can carry. This thing is humongous compared to the Talon 22 or other bags for that example. Then I think that's why they made Osprey gave us two options to access this, one from the side and one from the top. Initially I was worried about this. I think things would fall out. I haven't had that experience of dropping things or having things fall out, although I still don't put valuable items in here or things I don't want to lose. And I have found this helpful at times when I don't want to take the whole bag off and I want to grope around or feel for what I'm getting, like a pack of M&Ms or something. I can easily find them without having to take my backpack off. So I found this more functional than I thought I would. I initially was almost going to be a deal breaker for purchasing this bag. I thought this access point was a deal breaker because I thought this would go completely unused, but it's not. It actually is helpful, and once whatever you put in here is placed in here, it kind of works its way to the bottom, which is very unlikely for it to work its way out of this hole. And so this access, because this is so large, this access has been helpful. And again, this also takes, just like the main compartment, this ends up taking volume like you wouldn't expect. I was like, I've already got a hat in here, then sandwich, snacks, and then it could still like accommodate like a 16-ounce water bottle, not a 32-ounce Nalgene. That you need to use the other side for that, but it just keeps taking volume, just like the rest of this pack. And so, moving on to the shoulder straps, these are ultra ergonomic. The thing that really sold me about this bag when I first tried it on in the store, it just fit like a glove. For me, it just was immediately comfortable. This was nice and, streamlined, straight up and down. I'm a very thin guy, but this just fit like a glove. The hip belt, even though this is not adjustable, the hip belt portion sat in the correct spot. Now it's not as comfortable because this will be on your hip. The load will sit on your lip, but once weighed down, this is absolutely functional in spite of its minimalistic nature. Because once you're at a point where this is loaded up enough that you want to use the hip belt, there is absolutely enough volume to give this more structure to transfer the weight to this hip belt portion. And there's just enough padding here where the hardware doesn't dig into your hip, but the weight is distributed to this portion of the strap right here, which there is no padding. So this is what's going to ride on your hip when holding that weight, and it's not as comfortable as a fully padded hip belt. I was toying with the idea of using some of the car seat, my children's car seat shoulder straps, because they've grown out of those car seats, to put on here. For an everyday pack, this is just enough to not be overly technical, and still enough to, if you wanted to use it for a hike, you can still get away with it. And then regarding the shoulder strap, as I mentioned, it's unadjustable, but this chest strap is unique. They went with a magnetic design, which I was once initially very skeptical towards, but now I actually prefer this compared to buckles, compared to these type of buckles. And the reason is because I can operate this one-handed, and so to get it to undo it, it's just push it that way, and then to redo it, it's easy because it's magnetic. It falls right into place. And the reason that they went with this design is because for the hydration bladder tubing, it's got also a magnetic portion, which it can stick here. I've never used this, but I can see that being very helpful and useful. And so I'm really, really happy about this system. It doesn't come apart in use. Like, you cannot pull this apart. But when you need to, one-handed, it's super easy. Just design is genius. So I think it's great. If you're skeptical, don't be. It takes a couple, 2-3 uses to get used to, and then these are adjustable. You can move them up and down on this shoulder strap. If you really wanted to remove these, you can pull them all the way down and actually remove the chest strap altogether on both sides. I use them and I like them. This chest strap in conjunction with this pulls the entire load close to my back, distributes the weight back down onto the hip. the chest strap coupled with the hip strap coupled with this internal frame, it pulls the load in and puts it onto your hip and it really helps take the strain off of your back. In terms of ventilation, I'm a very thin guy, so I've never had problems with a sweaty back or ventilation, so I find this adequate. Your miles may vary. And that's about it. That's my review of this Osprey Skarab 22. Excellent pack, super comfortable, not entirely technical like the Talon 22, but it's not meant to be. Definitely more durable and lighter than the Talon 22. And so, great pack. I think this could even be a replacement to that if you add some padding here. You could almost, as long as you add the padding here and you don't need the adjustment of the height on the shoulders the Talon 22 offers. If I could only have one bag, this would be it. This is fantastic. Talon 22 is better for hiking, but this is you can use as well as hiking and as a day pack. Thanks for watching. Take care.